What if Hogwarts was like Durmstrang? Imagine stepping through the grand doors of Hogwarts, but instead of warmth and camaraderie, you are met with cold stone halls, strict instructors, and an immediate sense of danger. There are no friendly ghosts to welcome you, no songs from the Sorting Hat, only a series of grueling tests to determine if you are even worthy of being here. In this alternate reality, Hogwarts is not the balanced institution that nurtures young witches and wizards of all backgrounds. Instead, it follows a much darker path, one akin to Durmstrang, a school infamous for its harsh teaching methods, secrecy, and embrace of the dark arts. The question is, how would this change the wizarding world? Would heroes still rise, or would darkness reign supreme? Hogwarts, as we know it, accepts all magical children regardless of background, allowing even those with little magical experience to flourish. But in this version of Hogwarts, admission is a privilege, not a right. Instead of simply receiving a letter, potential students are summoned to a secret testing ground where they must prove their magical strength. These tests might include a dueling tournament where children as young as 11 must fight against one another, with only the strongest passing. A survival challenge, where they are left in an enchanted forest filled with dangerous creatures to test their resilience and magical instincts. A mental test, where they are subjected to powerful enchantments to gauge their ability to resist mind control, fear, and manipulation. Muggleborns, they wouldn't stand a chance. The school, much like Durmstrang, would likely reject them outright, favoring purebloods and exceptionally gifted half-bloods. This means Hermione Granger would never have set foot in Hogwarts. Ron, coming from a relatively large but not particularly remarkable wizarding family, might have struggled to pass the trials. But what about Harry? Raised in an abusive environment, he learned how to survive long before he discovered magic. With his instinctive determination and natural dueling ability, he might have adapted too well to this ruthless world. Forget Gryffindor, Slytherin, Ravenclaw, and Hufflepuff. In this Hogwarts, students are not divided by personality traits, but by ability. Newcomers would start at the lowest tier, with opportunities to rise through the ranks based on performance. The strongest would receive the best training, the best dormitories, and the highest privileges. The weakest? They would be cast aside, expelled, or worse, used as test subjects in advanced magic experiments. The school itself would encourage competition, backstabbing, and rivalries, ensuring that only the best of the best make it to graduation. Instead of friendly house rivalries, there would be deadly competitions, where students eliminate each other for status. Harry, in this world, would not have been a boy who lived. He would have been a boy who fought. At the Hogwarts we know, students study a balanced curriculum, some practical magic, some theoretical, and a mix of harmless subjects like astronomy, herbology, and care of magical creatures. But this Durmstrang-like Hogwarts would have no patience for such softness. The subjects would be brutal, demanding, and aimed solely at producing the strongest wizards. Dark arts mastery, no more defense against the dark arts. Instead, students would learn how to wield the darkest spells, including the unforgivable curses. They would be encouraged to experiment with them, using weaker students as practice targets. Dueling and combat magic. Every student would be required to master not just basic spellcasting, but also advanced dueling tactics, magical endurance training, and even hand-to-hand combat enhanced by magic. Tactical sorcery, a class designed to train students in military strategy, assassination techniques, and the manipulation of magical power. Instead of merely memorizing spells, students would learn how to weaponize them in the most efficient way possible. Magical torture resistance. To create wizards who can endure the worst, students would be subjected to controlled exposure to spells like the Cruciatus Curse, forcing them to build a resistance to pain and mental attacks. Would someone like Neville Longbottom have survived this? Or would he have been broken and cast aside in his first year? Dumbledore, with his ideals of kindness and tolerance, would have never been the headmaster of this Hogwarts. Instead, someone like Phineas Nigellus Black, an elitist and power-hungry leader, would be in charge. Or perhaps a warlock even more dangerous, one who believed that only the strongest should survive. The professors would be enforcers rather than teachers, Snape would thrive in this environment, using his brutal teaching methods without restriction. McGonagall, however, would likely have been driven out or forced to conform to this harsher world. Punishments would be severe. A failed spell in class might result in public humiliation, physical pain, or even being forced to repeat a year in brutal conditions. There would be no second chances. This Hogwarts would change everything, including the Dark Lord himself. Voldemort, who in our world built his army by exploiting the weaknesses of wizards and witches, would not need to form a separate Death Eater group. The school itself would already be training wizards in dark magic and survival. Instead of recruiting outsiders, he might have led this version of Hogwarts as an alumnus, shaping the next generation into ruthless warriors. But what about Harry? In this world, he might not have fought Voldemort. Instead, he might have become him. With no nurturing friendships, no guidance from kind mentors, and a lifetime of training in dark magic, Harry Potter could have risen as an entirely new kind of ruler. One who challenged Voldemort, not for justice, but for power. In this reality, the battle for dominance would be between two Dark Lords. So, what do you think? Would you be strong enough to survive a Hogwarts like this? Would you fight for your place or be cast aside? Would the wizarding world be safer with an army of battle-hardened wizards? Or would it be doomed to endless chaos? Let me know in the comments. Would you still want that Hogwarts letter? If you like the video and don't want to miss the next one, subscribe. I will be very grateful.